Is that so?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. We have already discussed, I had my counseling sessions on uh, head teacher in the school as leader, as manager. Okay, so as you all know that the postgraduate diploma in school leadership and management, in this you have a compulsory extended contact program. Normally what happens whenever the students are attending any kind of classes through IGNOU, so the attendance is not compulsory. Offline attendance when they were attending the counseling sessions, that was not compulsory. So ECP for a week was the time when the learners were able to contact and to gain or to discuss with the counselors face to face. So normally the extended contact program has the basic reason behind it that in case any learners who were not able to attend the counseling sessions when they were held offline, at least they can attend the contact program where the learners and the counselors are sitting together face to face, and they are utilizing whatever they have learned, their learnings, in doing some activities and doing some practical work. That is basically the motive behind the extended contact program. So in your cases, because you all are international students and the e-Vidya Bharati program under IGNOU has started this, so the extended contact program again has to be done online only. But I think you will get a good chance, good fair chance to interact with your counselors, talk more about the learnings, and then we can have some activities and assignments. As you have seen the syllabus or the outline of extended contact program, an assignment has to be given to you, which you are supposed to write and then submit. Today, I have been given the topic conflict management. So there will be two activities which we will be doing in the 1.5 hour, which is given to me. And along with it, one more thing is that I'll be giving you two questions. These two questions are very simple ones. You have to write their answers, but they are not the theoretical ones. They are related to what you will do when you are facing any kind of conflict. I hope I am audible enough and clear enough to make you understand whatever I am saying. Is
Yes,
that so?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, okay. In case there is any difficulty in listening to my voice, or in case you are not able to understand any pronunciation which may be different from you, then please raise your hands through the icon which is shown below, or you can write in the chat box too. Okay. So because we have already discussed about conflict management, today I'll try to just sum up whatever we have learned in the form of some activities too. So as we all know that in this world, we all do not think in the same manner. We have different views, different opinions. Even our ideas are very different from each other. The way we do any kind of work or things, our attitudes, our beliefs are very different. And it all depends upon our upbringing, our social, physical, emotional environment, our thought process, our philosophy of life, and our own experiences. Because every individual is different from the other, and especially in the thought process. So when there are people who are from different backgrounds, educational, social, economic, cultural, and along with it, when they are very different from each other in their viewpoints and in their manner of doing things, conflicts are a part of our life. We face conflicts every day in most of the work we are doing, in most of the interactions we are doing with other people. The conflicts, they are sometimes physically as well as emotionally very damaging. They can harm us, they can affect us negatively. But at the same time, sometimes they may lead to growth and productivity. because we have got different ideas, we have got different opinions, we are not agreeing upon one kind of thing which we want to do. So maybe we grow with each other, and sometimes new ideas, creative ideas also flow, and then we grow together, and there is increase in productivity too. In most of the cases, it has been seen that conflict can be a source as well as a cause of stress. So it is essential that the needs of conflict management should be addressed at length. If there is any conflict among two individuals, it is very two or more individuals, it is very essential that that conflict should be addressed then and there only. And we should discuss and listen to each other's ideas and viewpoints at length. So when we are saying what is conflict, it is a situation where incompatible activities, feelings, or intentions occur together. And what may be the reasons behind it? When we are thinking differently, there is differences, there are variation in our opinion, in our viewpoints, in our ideas, the way in which we work, our attitudes, beliefs, cultural identities. All these may be the reasons of conflict. And basically, when we are talking about conflict, they are of two types. Okay, and then we will be talking about two activities which you have to perform right now. One is the type of conflict is intrapersonal, which is within every individual. And the reasons may be the reasons of this conflict, which is within each individual himself or herself. One can be frustration. I want to complete a paper today itself, but there is no electricity. I do not have a place to write. There are many people who are coming to visit my place today, being Sunday, a holiday. So when I'm not able to reach my goal, so then I want to reach a goal, but there is a barrier. So it can cause frustration in me, because the conflict is in whether I should attend the guests or I should write the paper. The other reason is goal conflict. When we have more than one goals and there is difference in our thought process whether to reach which kind of goal. And this goal conflict can be in turn of three types. One is approach. Then there are two goals and I don't know which goal I'm supposed to achieve. For example, I have to take a class and I have been assigned to take a meeting. I want to teach the class as well as I want to take the meeting, but I can do only one work at a time. So there is a approach conflict when there are two goals. Both goals are positive. I want to do both the work, but the conflict is which work should be done at that particular time. Okay, this is known as approach. The other one is approach avoidance. There is one work which I want to do. There is another work which I do not want to do. Then the goal conflict is for me, one is positive goal, which I want to do. Another one is negative goal, which I do not want to do. Okay. The third type of goal conflict is avoidance. There are two goals which I am supposed to attain, supposed to reach, but for me, both are negative. I do not want to do even any one of them. So this is called as avoidance. So here you have seen there are there may be three kinds. One is frustration, another one is goal conflict, and the third one is role conflict. When I have different expectations from myself and I am not able to decide which role I should play at that particular time and situation, then it is a role conflict. Okay, now the activity for all of you is take your paper and pen. You have to do it right now, and then you will speak one by one. because this is an extended contact program. It is basically about utilizing the learnings of counseling session into our daily decisions. And you as a school leader, as a head teacher, sometimes face intrapersonal conflict. There is conflict in yourself. Which one should I do at a time? Okay, so now think about any situation which has been occurred in few days before, where you experienced some conflict, and that conflict is intrapersonal within yourself. First of all, you have to write that situation and then categorize it, whether it is frustration, and if it is a goal conflict, which type of goal conflict? Approach avoidance, or avoidance, or is it of the third type, that is role conflict? Okay, so write on a piece of paper the conflict you faced and then categorize it. I can give you an example. For example, a few days back, because I am the member of internal quality assurance cell of our college, being member of that particular cell, I am supposed to collect some information from the departments regarding the projects being assigned to the students. Okay, so I am facing a conflict. One is my goal, that I want to gather the information about the projects being done by students in a particular session. Okay, so that is approach. I want to do that. That is positive one. But I do not want to go to each and every department, because I'm not sure whether I will receive the kind of information I want or not. So I don't want to go to the departments one by one. There are more than 23 departments in our college, and I don't want to go there. So now the intrapersonal conflict for me is the goal conflict, because I want to reach a goal. But one is positive thing, that I have to gather the data. The other one is negative thing. I don't want to go to the departments. So this type of conflict will be approach avoidance conflict. Okay, now write one conflict only and then categorize it. I'll give you some minutes, few minutes for that. And then I would like each and every one of you to respond, because ECP is all about activities. Hope all of you could understand what I am asking you to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, sure. Okay, sure. Write the conflict. First of all, write the conflict in one sentence. Okay, then categorize it. Then categorize it, whether the conflict is frustration, whether it is goal conflict, or it is role conflict. In case it is goal conflict, then again you have to subcategorize it, whether it is approach avoidance, or avoidance. This is a very small thing you have to do. And then you can start answering one by one. I will be writing the responses of each and every one. Even I have got paper and pencil with me. Okay. Very short, very simple activity. Write
Good
a
morning.
conflict situation. Yes, yes, Muhammad. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
we can start with we can start with Muhammad. Okay, Muhammad.
Today is Sunday.
Yeah.
Usually I attend. Today is Sunday.
Yes, yes.
Usually I attend reading club.
Okay.
Yeah. Then it has. And also I have a class today.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm facing a goal conflict,
Yeah.
which is further subcategorized into approach conflict.
Okay, okay. You want to do both. And you couldn't
Yeah.
take decision what you are supposed to. Okay, good, good, good,
Yeah.
very good.
Correct.
Now,
Okay.
James, James.
Okay. 2 weeks ago, I had to submit a research proposal for my master's degree. Then I also have to design the school timetable for Form 1, the person that have come in. I
Okay,
will submit the proposal because there's deadline. I also have to submit the timetable because the students also had to study. So I
okay,
see this as goal conflict and then it's approach because I have to do both.
okay, good. Who else will answer? Someone has written in the chat box too.
Okay, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Yeah, uh, in my case, I am leading one of our association. We have a goal that we want to achieve from the government. What I wanted to achieve as a leader, we have three things that we want to request from the government. One, I wanted to put these three, three goals we want to achieve from the government. But in my case, I want to write them based on priority, which I think the first one is this one, the second one is this one, and the third one is this one. But I'm afraid if I ask members of the association individually, we will be having different opinion on which one will be our first priority. So I wanted to go with my own and avoid going and ask individual persons in the association. So in my case is goal conflict, which is approach and approach avoidance.
Okay, okay. Approach avoidance. Yes.
Yes.
Fitzans, thank you, MB. Fitzans
Yeah.
has written in the chat box, and it is a very, very interesting one. If everyone has read that, he had to attend the classes, ECP, as well as he has to officiate a marriage. I'm not very sure officiating a marriage means is he a pastor who is supposed to make the arrangements and speak? Is that so? Pastor, he's a pastor. Okay, okay, now I'm able to make it. So it is a very difficult situation. It is again a goal conflict. It can be also considered as a role conflict too, but goal conflict, and that too is approach. And see the middle situation he has taken. He's using the Bluetooth and solemnizing the marriage, whatever the pastor does. Actually, I'm not very sure about it. I don't know the rituals, but I have seen it in many movies and the serials too on TV, that the pastor is the one, like our Purohit, Hindu Purohits, who are the ones who need to be there to speak, and to solemnize the marriage. Okay, okay, a very good one, Fitzans. At least you are able to do both of them. Okay, Kavuki, Muniba, Ola, three more. There are more names I'm able to see on the screen.
Good morning, ma.
Good morning, Muniba. How are you?
I'm fine. Ma,
Okay,
my own is also an approach conflicts.
okay.
As we are celebrating a Salah festival over here, I'm
Uh-huh.
also having visitors that will visit me at the same time. And
Okay.
at exactly this time, we are having a class on ECP. Both
Yeah.
are important to me. That's why I classify it as approach conflicts.
Yes. Yes. Yes, Muniba. A very good example you have given. Anyone else who is left? I can see two more. Ola. Ola. The name is reflecting on the screen.
Hello.
Hello, Kavuki. Yes,
Yes,
Kavuki. Yes,
yes.
Kavuki.
Hello.
Yes, please. Good afternoon,
One by
ma.
one.
Can you hear me?
Okay. First of all, Ola is speaking, and then Kavuki. First of all, Ola.
Okay, I think I'm having the same similar in the sense that I'm out to get some things for my business, and at the same time I'm having class. So the two are important. So I have to get the things I need, and I have to attend the class.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ola. Now, Kavuki, it is your turn.
Yes, ma. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Kavuki.
How are you?
I'm fine, dear. Thank you.
Good. Now, yesterday, I had a goal conflict.
Okay.
I had a field trip. I had to drive almost 250 miles.
Okay.
At the same time, I had lectures. I just found myself when when I'm in a trap.
Okay.
Hmm.
And so the conflict was?
I think that
Which
is
kind of conflict was it?
Goal conflict.
Goal conflict again. Okay. And the type was?
Yeah. Approach conflict.
Okay. So maximum maximum learners have given the conflict, which is the goal conflict, and mainly approach. Okay. Sometimes there is frustration too. There are many things we want to do, and we just kill our time and we are not able to do even one of them. Then we feel frustrated. Yes, Muhammad, you have raised your hands. Yes, Muhammad.
I have an observation.
Yeah.
It seems that we seem to understand only the approach. Maybe we shed more light on the two other approaches.
Yes. Frustration is a very easy one. There are many times when we feel frustrated. Okay. And frustration is basically when we want to reach a goal, but there is a barrier. I want to reach college in time, but there is a traffic jam, a rally going on. Then I will feel frustrated that I'm not able to reach at time. Okay, one more has raised his hand. Fitzans. Maybe the pronunciation is not exactly what you wanted.
Hello,
Fitzans.
madam. Please,
Yes,
due
Fitzans.
to the program, I may not be able to talk much on the page, but I'll be chatting.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, dear. So, we have talked about intrapersonal conflict when the conflict is within every individual, within ourselves. There is one more kind of conflict that is known as interpersonal, when the conflict is between two or more persons. And the reasons may be our habits as well as beliefs, when we have some limited resources, when we want someone to change their attitude, change their decisions. Poor communication is also one reason for interpersonal conflict, when people do not have the right words to communicate, or sometimes the word they are speaking, they are not understood in the manner they are being spoken, when there is lack of clear goals, and when there is difference in power and status. We have seen, especially when we are talking about a school system, a learning system, we have seen that the maximum power is with the headmaster, or the school leader is the headmaster. Okay, the subordinates, they have some less power. And when there is difference in status, difference in power, again some interpersonal conflicts may arise. When there is clash of values and interest, then again interpersonal conflicts may arise. If we think about any interpersonal conflict which has happened a few days back, okay, now you have to think about any two situation or even a one situation where you have been in interpersonal conflict, and then you have to identify the reasons for that. Okay, I will give you an example of myself only, then you will be able to do it in a better manner. Actually, I am the convener, career counseling and placement cell of the college. Being the convener of that cell, it is my duty, my responsibility to organize career awareness talks, interaction of students with different industries, as well as organize some career drives, placement drives. a few colleagues of mine, they asked me to arrange more campus drives in college, and they asked a company without my consent. When I came to know about that, my response was open resistance. I openly resisted. I made them very, very clear that they cannot take decisions related to career counseling and placement cell without informing me and without my consent, as I am the convener. Okay. So what is there? The colleagues, they want me to change my way of functioning or doing, and thus it resulted in interpersonal conflict. Okay, so here the reason for me is change. Why change? Because in this type of conflict, what I have understood is that someone has suggested me, or someone wanted me to think in the manner they are thinking. They say that I have to change, or I have to start making changes around myself. And when they are doing something, they are not even taking my concept. And if I reflect, I see that such situation has arises to my open resistance. Okay, so change can also result in interpersonal conflict. Okay, now you can cite one example which has happened a few days, a few weeks, or a day earlier, in which you have faced interpersonal conflict. That means the conflict is between you and some other person or a group of people. And then you have to assign the reason. I will help you in assigning the reason if you are not able to make it. And the reason can be when there are differences in habits and belief. Okay, for me, the right kind of dressing is if I'm wearing very clean clothes. If I am wearing the appropriate kind of clothes which are required to be worn in that particular kind of situation. For me, the material of the cloth is not very important. So this is my habit, that I always wear clean clothes, and I always wear the situation appropriate clothes. Okay, that can be my habit. For some, it may be different. The second reason can be limited resources. Limited resources, I want to have the access to the computer to complete a project, but there are many other teachers who also want to have the computer. Then what we see, the resources are limited. Change, I have given you example of my own experience. Poor communication skill, when there is either a language barrier or the body language is speaking something else. Okay, when there is some communication gap, for example, I'm genuinely appreciating someone, but by my body language or by the words which I am speaking, or my tone or my gestures, they do not exactly communicate that I'm appreciating. And the person in turn is feeling that I'm being sarcastic. Okay, so that is poor communication skill can be a reason. When there are not clear goals, I have a goal, all of us have to reach that goal, but that goal is not clear in the minds of my colleagues. They perceive it differently. There is some misunderstanding. When both the parties, both the individuals or different individuals are not aware of the clear goals, it may result in misunderstanding and conflict. Okay, and when there is unequal distribution of power and status. Okay, if I am giving some additional responsibility to a teacher who is already very much overburdened or is doing some other responsibility, then he or she may feel that I am myself being a head teacher is putting lot of stress on her. It may also cause. And one more is when there is clash of values and interest. Okay, for example, the teacher wants to finish the syllabus in time because he has given the question from that particular unit in the coming exam. But the students feel they are already overburdened and they do not want to study one unit more. Okay, so there is clash of interest. And the students are saying, no, we are not going to accept it, and the teacher is very adamant, no, no, whatever free periods you have, I want to teach you this chapter because it will come in the examination. So you must have now learnt about all the 7 reasons of interpersonal conflict. These are: one is habit and belief, other is limited resource, third is change, fourth is very poor communication, fifth is lack of clear goals, sixth is difference in power and status, and seventh is clash of values and interest. Okay, now all of you write down any one interpersonal conflict which you have observed with either any other person or a group of persons. Start writing. Yes, meanwhile I am reading what Fitzens has written in the chat. It is a long answer. I'm reading that. Yes, a very good one. A very good one, Fitzans. You have written in detail. Okay, and you can what was the reason? You haven't put the reason. It can be limited resources as well as clash of values and interest. It can be considered both way, because there the conflict was between you and the accountant. And the accountant had, yes, Fitzans, the accountant had some other kind of interest. And your main interest was doing the work in the best possible manner. Yes, very good. One answer has been given, Fitzans. Yes, James, you can speak. Yes, James.
All right.
Yes.
Madam, beginning of this year, January, as a head of timetable committee, I had to organize the timetable for the whole school. But when the free ACHS was introduced in Ghana, we were selected by the NACA, the National Accreditation Board, and then we were oriented on how to design the timetable based on government-approved procedure. In senior high schools, a maximum length class should be 1 hour. Then in junior high school, 40 minutes and 45 minutes. There should be 2 breaks and the rest. Fortunately for us, we had a new headmaster this year, the beginning of the year. After I have designed the timetable with my committee, the headmaster also changed the timetable to 45 minutes. And there was a conflict. I didn't want to agree because I believe that it goes against what the government wants, the procedure. The headmaster also wants it that way. So I saw that it was here there's so much thing for one, lack of communication, because the headmaster doesn't know about the government system. After showing it to him, he was still insistent. Then from lack of that to become power and status. Now he's the head, so he wants it to be done that way. So at the end of the day, since he has the power, I just agreed that he should go by his way. So
yes, a very good example you have given. Yes, James, a very good example you have given, and the reason may be one, poor communication. Another can be the difference in power and status. The other person being headmaster has more power and status as compared to you or the teacher. Okay, both can be the reasons. Very good, James. Yes, more answers. Ola has written in the chat box, and if there are some other, Ola has written in the chat box, interpersonal conflict. Okay, yes, MB Rimindako.
Okay.
I'm pronouncing it correctly or not?
It's correct.
Correct, Rimindako. Okay, that's a good one.
Yes, it's Rimindako. That's good, but it is not my real name. It is just a nickname. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. It's okay.
My name is
okay.
My name
I
is
can speak
Mubarak.
the names which are being reflected on my screen only.
Yes, I know this one is reflecting.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes.
Now give me
Yeah.
the example. Yes.
My example of conflict is between me and my wife.
Okay.
Yes, we usually have this conflict. Every day I
Mm-hmm.
want her to wake up early in the morning to prepare breakfast, but she doesn't want to wake up early in the morning. Well, I wanted to attend office early before the time, but she doesn't care. Maybe because of the status, because she's not working, so she doesn't see any reason why we will wake up early in the morning.
Okay, there is difference in status and who has got more power. You or your wife? Who has got more
Yeah,
power?
I have more power.
Being a male or being the husband? Is that so?
Yes, because I'm the husband. I'm the leader of the
Okay.
house.
Okay. That means in the traditional households, even in the African countries, it is almost same as India. The male
Yes,
by the
yes,
by being the virtue of being the male and the husband feel that they have got more power. But now in India the situation has changed a lot. There is more of equality and both are equal partners.
yes.
A good one. Okay. Now think of, now you can while writing you can also think about something which has happened in your school. Okay, because we have to write an example that is happening in
Reflect
the
school.
schools.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. I will add the
Okay.
one.
Okay, Muhammad has written office
Ma,
allocation something. Yes, Muniba.
my own conflicts that I witness in our own school is we have one of our colleagues that is she has a pneumonia and also she is an asthma victim. So during rainy season or the weather is very cold, she can't be able to be at school by the 7 o'clock or 7:30 assigned time for all the teachers. So she has given her reason to the head teacher. Her report is noted and documented with him, and he has passed the information to others in the meeting. But anytime the season of the raining comes, we used to have that conflicts within the teachers. Some felt that it's just because he consider her as his favorite. That is why she is not among those that will be questioned about coming late, or let me put it, coming late because the assigned time is 7:30. That's what I witnessed as a conflict that usually happen time to time in that school.
Okay, Muniba, you have given a very good example, and we all as school leaders or managers need to understand that there, if in case there is some medical situation or any emergency with any teacher, we have to consider them. But when we are considering them, when we are being considerate enough, the all the other teachers shouldn't think that we are favoriting them, we are giving them some extra advantages. So if I would have been the head teacher, I would have given that particular teacher some liberty to come late, but she could have been assigned some other kind of work which is more than the other teachers, to compensate to the time for which she is allowed to come late. Then only all the teachers will understand that equal work is being done by all the teachers. Yes, this is a very good example, and that is about both things, that is about our habits and beliefs. Yes. 1 minute, only 1 minute I'll take. I'll just have to say something now. There is a call coming. Okay, learners, I'm really sorry. There was an important call and I had to attend that. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. So a few of you have given the examples. Anyone else who has been left? Kabuki? Yes, Kabuki? Anyone else who hasn't given the example of interpersonal conflict?
Madam, I think there are
Yes,
some
Kabuki
answers
has
in
written.
there.
Yes. Cable extension for office and quoted lower price. And when the requisition was taken to the procurement office, it was multiplied 3 times. Okay. And now we can say that the conflict was clash of a difference in power and status. Okay. And Muhammad has written conflict due to office allocation between the head teacher and his assistant, which is classified as inadequate resources. Okay. Ola has written interpersonal family men who have disagreement between themselves. They don't talk to each other, but their families do interact and still visit each other. But the two men don't. Okay, and what can be the reason behind it, Ola Abdul? What can be the reason behind it? Poor communication or clash of values and interest? Yes, Ola?
The two of them had a disagreement concerning interfering into a matter. One of them
Okay.
had an issue with his family, so the other one wanted to interfere, and he said he shouldn't interfere into his matter, and he insisted, and from there they had the disagreement and they stopped talking to each other.
Yes. I understood. So it can be in the clash of values and interest. The reason may be that. Okay, now we'll move to the other part. Whenever there is conflict, it is not that conflict is doing some bad only. There are many benefits to conflict too. And it makes us aware of the problems within our relationship. If there is no conflict, we will never get to know the viewpoint of other individual, whether they agree with us or disagree with us, whether they are thinking in a totally different way or not. So it makes us aware if there is a conflict, that means there is a problem, and that problem has to be chalked upon. The problem has to be resolved. Okay, the other benefit of conflict is it makes us realize who is involved, who are the people who are involved in that conflict, and how we can resolve that conflict. Solution of the conflict is very essential. It also encourages change. For example, if I'm doing a particular thing in a particular way, and if there are suggestions from some other individuals, at first there may be conflict between us, but maybe what they are saying could encourage some change in my way of thinking or their way of thinking. So it suggests changes too. It also suggests and indicate when we need to learn new skills. For example, if I'm a teacher who wants to do everything in a written document, and if there are some teachers who want those things to be recorded or to be ICT, if they want to use ICT for that, there is a conflict between two of us or among myself and the teachers who are using ICT. But maybe that is an indication that I require to learn the new skill of using ICT in my day-to-day work. And along with it, sometimes our habits become so old that they arise conflict between us and other individuals, and they need to be modified. If there is a practice in our school of taking attendance daily in the register, okay, I'm in a habit of taking attendance in a register, but along with the changing times, that need to be modified, because sometimes maybe the children proxy each other, and if I want it to be and if there is a conflict, maybe I need to change my old habit of taking attendance in register. Instead of that, a biometric system needs to be put in place of the attendance register. The old habits need modification too. When we have some problem, then only conflict arises. So we have to energize and increase our motivation so that we deal with those problems. There are conflicts. Conflicts need to be addressed and resolved. For that, conflicts can act as motivators. They can increase our motivation. They can energize us to solve the problems. Okay, sometimes the conflicts also spark curiosity. Why it has happened, why he or she is thinking differently, what is it that I need to change, why we two are not clear about our goals, is there something which needs to be communicated in a more proper manner. So it sparks curiosity too, it stimulates interest too, because our ultimate aim is to solve the problem, ultimate aim is to resolve the conflict, and to resolve the conflict we now start thinking about the situation and the people among whom you can see the conflict. Okay, so we have sometimes seen when there is conflict, better decisions are made as the number of alternative solutions are given. Okay, and it also increases an individual's self-awareness. If I face conflict, and especially these are intrapersonal conflict, I will review myself. I'll think about what are my priorities. I'll think about it again. So self-awareness is also increased. It deepens and enrich the relationship, because if there is problem, the relationship can never be better. Relationship can get better and close only and only when we resolve the differences, when we try to solve the conflict, when we try to solve the problem. Along with it, we have seen when there are diverse point of views, it sparks creativity. It also nourish growth, it increases productivity, and it strengthens our relations. Okay, it is not essential that in any organization or in any household, all the members, all the individuals, they always think in the same way. If they always agree to each other, no new thing or nothing productive will take place, because we are always following or always agreeing to what the other person is saying. If there are difference of opinions, if we think differently, if we do not say yes to everything being said by the other people, then maybe something good, something productive, something creative, and growth occurs only when there are difference of opinions. Okay, there is a very good terminology in Hindi. I wonder if I would be able to translate it in English. It is said in Hindi. It is said कि मतभेद होने चाहिए, मन भेद नहीं होना चाहिए. That means we can have the difference in thoughts, but our hearts shouldn't be very jealous of or very different from each other. Our hearts shouldn't feel bad about the others. We can have difference of opinions, but difference of opinions doesn't means that even our hearts are very are not synchronizing with each other. It shouldn't mean that we are not ready to accept and listen to what other people are saying. We should always be ready for that. So it is essential that there is difference in opinion. Okay, and we should always voice our opinion, the way we think, what we want, what is good and what is bad, which is beneficial for the whole institution and the organization. We need to speak up, even if it has to even if it means conflict between colleagues, or even if it means conflict of our conflict with the headmaster or other individuals. But we need to speak up what we are thinking about a particular problem or situation, and why what we think needs to be done. Either we will make the other people understand our viewpoint, or we will be able to understand other people's viewpoint, and then when we can reach a solution which is beneficial for the institution and which is for the benefit of each and every individual. Okay, so that was all about the benefits of conflicts. One more is, what are the detriments? Detriments means what are the ill effects, what are the bad effects of conflict. Okay, conflict creates stress. Yes, it can take a toll on our physical as well as mental health. And when there is a when the conflict becomes very when the situation becomes very stressful, it creates anxiety, guilt, frustration. And when there is conflict, a climate of mistrust and suspicion also arises among us. And when there is mistrust, when we do not believe each other, when we suspect each other, then there is no collaboration. The collaboration vanishes from the institution. And when we are not able to resolve the conflict, then there is breakdown in communication. We stop talking to the other person. Okay. And it causes instability and chaos in any kind of institution. If we are not clear, if we are not ready to understand and listen to other people's viewpoint, it will interfere in the clear judgment too. So we need to listen. And it also damages the positive frame of mind. If my mind is always full of suspicion and hatred and mistrust for other people, then it means I am not in a positive frame of mind. It will affect me very badly, very negatively. And then I will not be able to concentrate, because constantly in my mind, I will be thinking why other people is saying this thing, why the head teacher has said this, why my students are not happy, what I have done wrong, why everyone doesn't listens to me, why there is always different opinion, and there is always a conflict inside me as well as with other person. So there will be a lack of concentration. And when there is a lack of concentration, when I don't trust people, there is an environment of instability and chaos, then there will be no motivation to work, very poor motivation to work and learn. These are all which can be the ill effects of conflicts. So what is essential? That conflict should be resolved. And there are different opinions, approaches by which we can resolve conflict. They can depend upon an individual's personality, his or her unique wants, needs, and values. As an individual, we should be aware of our own style. What is my style of resolving a conflict? Okay. And there are basically 5 types of styles of conflict resolution. One is called dominance. And dominance is the one when there is competition between two individuals, and we always want power. When the decision we take to resolve the conflict is power oriented, that means I have the power, I am in the supreme position, so everyone has to listen to what I am saying. So that style is called as dominance. Sometimes when an individual is very generous, self-sacrificing, then that style is called as accommodation. If I do not want to take part in any kind of conflict resolution, I just want to escape, I want to run away from the situation, I feel very indifferent if there is any conflict, then my style will be avoidance type of conflict resolution style. If I want a middle ground, if I want that bargaining should be done, then it is called as a compromise style of conflict resolution. And if I want to cooperate with others, I am ready to change or make a shift in my attitude. If I want that both the individuals or the parties must gain mutually from each other from the conflict, and I want to resolve that conflict in that particular manner, then it is a collaborative type of style, collaborative style we can say. I'll give you an example. For example, if I was going through the different questions which is given in your handbook, the study material, if you go through those particular questions regarding the style, and if you mark each sentence which one you will do, then you will be able to know your style. Okay, so I'll give you a few minutes to think about it. For example, if I am asked, I want to handle conflict in a collaborative way, because I know I'm ready to cooperate. I never put my supremacy anywhere. I always listen to other people's viewpoint. And I think if I am wrong somewhere, or if I need to change my attitude and it will benefit both of us, then I'm always ready for it. And I want no one should be harmed. No harm should be done to me, and no harm should be done to the other individual. So my attitude is mutual gain. My objective is to get the work done, and for getting the work done, I'm not the sacrificing one. If I'm the sacrificing one, my style will be compromising. Okay, but my style is collaborative, where I want to work together with the other team of individuals, with other persons, so that we all gain mutually and our work never suffers. Then this is called as a collaborative style. Okay, now think about any kind of conflict which you have faced and what style you will use for resolving the conflict. Yes, start thinking, then I will give the assignment. All these were to be done right now only. You need not write it anywhere. The assignment to be written, I'll give at the end. Just start thinking. Whatever suits your style. You all must have, if you, in case you have the reading material with us, okay, there are some questions given. There are 35 questions given. And if you pick what is your style, then you will come to know what is your style. Okay, if you think your goal is more important than your relationship, then this is a dominant style. If you think that I value my goal, but I want to keep my relationship too, then it is a collaborative one. Okay, so this is the difference. What is your style? One by one, each one will speak. What is your style?
The question is not well clear.
The question is not clear. Okay, I'll
Yes.
speak it again. Okay, actually, whenever there is a conflict, we need to resolve that conflict. Okay, when during resolving the conflict, if you are the power oriented one, you want that your thoughts should be not only listened but should be followed too, then your approach to conflict resolution is a dominance one. Your style is dominance. You want to dominate. Just opposite to that, if you are generous, if you are self-sacrificing, okay, you are ready to sacrifice your viewpoint, your way of thinking, then it is called as accommodation type. If you want to escape from that situation, if you want to avoid that situation, if you are indifferent with the kind of resolution, then it is avoidance. You are avoiding. And if you want a third party, you want a middle ground, okay, none of the individuals decision is followed, but there is a third kind of decision on which everyone agrees, the bargaining kind of. I say, okay, I want to buy this thing in 100 rupees. The other one says that I want to sell this thing in 200 250 rupees. Finally we reach a solution, that is bargaining. Okay, the thing will be sold in 150. So that is called as a compromising style. And what will be the collaborative style? In which we are ready to change our attitude. We want to work in such a manner that both are gained, mutual gain, and we want to cooperate with each other. Then that kind of conflict resolution style is called as collaborative one. My question is, what is your style? Whenever you are resolving any conflict, okay, whether you are a dominant type, you are accommodating type, you are avoidance type, you are compromising type, or you are collaborative type, any one. Hope you get the question.
Yes, we do now.
Yes.
Okay. Now you have to just speak the style. You just have to speak the name.
Okay,
Madam,
mine is avoidance.
One by one, we will start with the Fitzans. No, he is not available. Okay, MB. MB?
My own type is avoidance.
Avoidance. You want to
Yes.
flee from that situation. That is
Yeah.
a very very inappropriate for a school leader. How can you just flee from that particular situation? You need to resolve the conflict. Anyways,
No,
James.
no. I thought you want us to give an example we did previously. But normal
No,
as
no,
a
no, no.
school leader.
I'm asking about the style, your style. Okay,
Okay,
Fitzans
the
is saying
style is
collaborative one.
collaborative.
Okay, collaborative.
Collaborative.
Okay,
Yeah.
MB collaborative. Now, James,
Mine is compromise.
compromising.
Yes.
Okay, Kavuki. Okay,
Collaboration, I
Kavuki.
think, is the best.
Kavuki, your style is
Collaboration.
collaboration one. Okay, Muhammad.
Collaboration.
Collaboration. Yes, I got it. Muhammad. Muniba.
Yeah.
No. Yes, Muhammad. What is your style of conflict resolution?
Mine.
Yeah. Muniba. Okay, we'll move forward because I have to give the assignment too. The last part is that if we want to manage the conflicts, we need to have some effective skills. Okay. And these effective skills should be, if there is some intrapersonal conflict, I try to resolve by making sure they are peace. Okay, collaborative ones. Citizens, I got it. Now we are talking about if I want to have some skills so that I can manage the conflict. One is self-awareness. Until and unless I'm aware about myself, my qualities, my strengths, my weaknesses, then only I'll be able to solve the intra conflicts which are within me. The next one is, if there is any kind of inter conflicts where there is conflict between some other individual or group of individuals and myself, then we have to analyze the situation and we should keep ourselves in that situation. If I am in that situation, what will I do? The way to analyze and reframe a situation. And non-verbal communication skill, that is body language. Body language is very important. If I want to talk to someone and my body language is of a power or a supreme one, of a dominating one, then I won't be able to make the other people understand. Okay. Active listening means not only your good body language, but we should be always ready to listen to other people's viewpoint too. And if there is any problem among us, we should always be ready to ask questions. Then we should summarize the fact, what the other person is feeling, what are the facts. All these need to be kept in mind. The different perceptions of individuals, we should be willing to acknowledge other person. First be attentive and then acknowledge to their ideas, their viewpoints, their thoughts. Brainstorming should be done. We should identify all possible solutions to any kind of conflict. A third party mediation is always welcome, but that third party need to be unbiased one, a neutral one. We should always evaluate all the options available to resolve a conflict. Okay, so conflict, any kind of suggestions being given to resolve the conflict should be evaluated, and a global perspective needs to be assumed so that ultimate our aim is the benefit of the institution, the benefit of the students, the benefit of the teachers. That should be very much essential. So in conflicts, whenever there is a conflict, first thing is we should identify the conflict. Second is state the conflict in clear terms. Third is we should express concern, feelings about the conflict. And then we should write I statements. What would I do if I am in that situation? We should listen to other persons to understand. And whenever they are speaking, we should never interrupt. And then we need to briefly repeat all those things in our own words. Okay. And it is essential that whenever there is any conflict between individuals, they all should listen to each other and laugh with each other. They shouldn't laugh on another. And the final resolution, is done when we exchange the apologies and reconciliation occurs between us, and we reach and we reach a solution. We reach which kind of decision needs to be taken. So your assignment is, should I write, or if I speak, you will be able to write?
Right.
Anyone.
You're right.
Okay. Now, your assignment is you have to
Can you
write.
write so that we
Okay, I am giving the question. I'll speak it once, then I'll write in the chat box too. You have to answer that question in the form of different steps you have taken to resolve the conflict. Okay, and the answer should be in 2 pages of a register. That makes it to almost 300 to 500 words, I suppose. This is a register page. Okay, this is a register page. You need to write 2 pages, front and back, 2 pages of a register. The answer should be given in that way. And the question is, this is the only question which you need to answer. Okay, the question is, you are the class teacher who has to prepare progress reports of students before parent teacher meeting. One of the subject teacher always gives you the result of his subject very late, which affects your work. How will you resolve this? Okay, I will write it down. I will write it down in the chat box. And for writing the answer, what you have to do is, 1, evaluate the situation. Identify the situation. Write it in clear terms. Choose a location and time to address that conflict. Communicate clearly, listen to other, collaborate, reach a conclusion. In this way, you have to write how you will resolve the conflict. Okay, now allow me some time to write in the chat box, and then you can ask me questions too. I'm trying to write through. My speed is slow, it seems, as compared to you. I'm writing the assignment in the chat box. You are the class teacher who has to prepare progress reports of students before the parent teacher meeting. But there is one of the subject teacher who always gives the marks very late. Maybe the English subject teacher who always gives the marks of English very late, which affects your work. Because if marks of one subject are not given in time, you will not be able to prepare the whole report. Okay, how will you resolve this? You have to write answer of this only. I hope everyone has seen. Okay, you are the class teacher who has to prepare progress reports of students before the parent teacher meeting. One of the subject teacher who always gives the marks very late, which affects your work. How will you resolve this? Okay. And when you are writing the answer, you have to make sure that you follow all the points, and the points are: you have to identify the problem, the conflict, you have to state the conflict, you have to express the concern, you have to find reasons for that, and then you have to write how you will resolve the conflict. Yes, someone has raised the hand. Please speak up. You are allowed. Yes.
Okay, ma.
Yes,
I
MD.
want you to listen this so that we can take it down. How we are going to answer the question.
Okay, okay.
Talk, yes, mention it one by one so that we will take it
Okay,
down.
okay, okay. Actually, it need not be repeated because it is given in your study material. If you have
Okay.
got your study material and you
Yes.
go
Okay.
through the unit 8, okay, managing the
Okay.
conflict. I know it is given there. I have already discussed during my counseling sessions. So it is not something that you won't be able to understand. You need not write it down. You will be able to write the answer. You have to
Please,
write
this
the
is
answers in 2 pages of the register. Got it, James?
please, I want to find out how do we get a study material for the
Yeah.
conflict.
Yes. I couldn't get you.
Yeah, we don't have that one yet in our portal. The conflict, about the conflict.
The managing conflict. Okay. So, sir, the RC Dehradun is here. They will be sharing you the link where you can find all the study material, and especially the conflict management one, and then you will be able to answer,
Thank you.
or you can write the answer by yourself. Don't please do not panic. We have already talked about conflict. What are the different kind of conflict? What are the reasons for conflict, and how conflict should be resolved? Now, I have given you a situation where you are a class teacher. What is the work of the class teacher? To compile the result of all the subject. And there is a day when parent teacher meeting is being fixed. But there is one subject teacher who always give the marks of his subject very late. That means it will affect your work of compiling the result. Okay. So there is a conflict between you and that subject teacher. How you will resolve that conflict? That is the question. And now you have to write it down. Anas Mahmood, you want to ask something? Anas Mahmood? Yes, Anas?
Yes, ma. Yes, ma. I want to say something.
Yeah, speak up.
Yeah, I think to resolve the situation, I will first communicate with the subject teacher to understand why they are constantly late with
Yeah,
providing marks.
You need, Anas, you need not give that answer right now. You are supposed to write it in the form of an
Okay.
assignment. This is the assignment. This is
Okay.
the only assignment I am giving. First three
Okay.
were the
Okay.
activities we discussed.
Okay. Where should I send the assignment? Is it your through your email or here
Yes,
in the chat
yes,
box?
yes, yes. The regional center will be sending you the email to which the
Okay.
assignment has to be sent before 30th of
Okay.
April. 30th of
Okay.
April is the last day of
Okay.
submitting. Okay, there are some different kind of assignment.
Okay.
This
No
is this
problem.
is the assignment of the ECP. The ECP that is of 7 days only. The assignments are
Are we
different.
to submit today?
Okay, it will be made clear by the RC when they are sending you
Okay.
individual messages or in your group. So you need not
Okay.
worry. Today's our
Okay. No
topic was
problem.
conflict management. There were 3 activities which we have done and made interaction on that. That was, what is intrapersonal conflict? You have given your intrapersonal conflict and given reason for that. The other one was interpersonal conflict. You have given an example of interpersonal conflict and given reason for that. Then you, each every individual told me about their style of resolving the conflict. These were the activities which we have done in the class. They need not be written anywhere. You need not to write them. That activity we have done. Only one question has been given for the assignment, and that question I have written in the chat box. You have to answer only that question, only one question in 2 pages of a register that makes it to 400 words or 500 words or so. Write it down and then send a mail. The mail address will be given by RC Dehradun. Okay. Any
Okay,
other question?
no
You
problem.
will be, there is a break for a few minutes and then the next session will start. And I ask RC Dehradun to please take up. RC
Okay, ma'am.
Dehradun,
Thank you so
thank
much.
you. Thank you, dear listeners. Wonderful meeting you again. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
very much, ma'am.
You are
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah.
You can wait few minutes.
وعباد الرحمن الذين يمشون على الأرض حولا وإذا خاطبهم الجاهلون قالوا سلاما الذين يبيتون لربهم والذين إذا أساءوا أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن maza 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 da ake cike gagari za ga shi abubuwa da Allah sallah yau ga za ga shi abubuwa wallahi da shi yara da gurin Nasir ba gangare yawa Ganang, atas, makan jangan saya. Kan nanti asal macam ni. Kota ada jalan. Aina nam, wannan da jalan mun shiga da ita. Da bai yi.
Well, good afternoon, dear learners. Good afternoon from my side. I'm Dr. Bhaskar from India. So, am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. You can start your session.
Okay. Thank you. So, let me welcome my students, the international students from, especially from the African countries. I
Anas, mute your mic. Anas, mute your mic.
yeah, Mr. Anas. Yeah, Mr. Anas. Am I audible? Okay, let me try to mute one of my participants, Mr. Anas. Mr. Anas, am I audible? Okay, so we are just on right time. Let me wait for a few minutes so that the other participants may also join. And in between, let me see if Mr. Anas can mute himself. Right. For rest of the participants, I assume that all of you may hear me properly and I'm audible enough. Right. Let's just wait for 1 minute. Right. Okay, now it's okay. So I welcome all my dear learners from the African countries, and some of them I have already interacted with, especially in the previous sessions on the PGDSLM. Right, in the previous 2 and 4 sessions, I have already discussed a lot of points with them in the few months back. Right, today I can just see that I have 7 participants. May I just know that to which country you just belong to? You may just unmute yourself or write in the chat box, because earlier there were participants from Sudan, from Mozambique, and some other countries. I hope that some of them are from the same, especially Mr. Ibrahim was there, and some other participants were there, right? So let me just get a brief idea that to which country the participants, the learners, they just belong to. Mr. Suleiman Ibrahim was also there in the previous classes, in the previous sessions, when we were talking about the PGDSLM courses and about the content that we need to discuss there, right? Okay, so this is my final call from my side. I hope that I'm audible enough. Okay, Mr. James is from Ghana. Okay, I just welcome Mr. James. Okay, in between the participants, they may just write in the chat box. That will also act as your attendance also. So, dear learners, I hope that okay, from Nigeria, from Fitjans, Austin is also from Ghana. Okay, right. So I just welcome you all. Right. So it's 4:30 here in the evening in India, and on behalf of myself and on behalf of the internationally reputed Indira Gandhi National Open University, I welcome all my participants, and I hope that this session of 1 hour and 30 minutes in the next 90 minutes we will be discussing about the topic, the transactional viewpoint, or I can say that the transitional analysis of the psychological aspect, that is the personality. And I am sure that all of you have the study material also that will help you out in understanding that. So I will be just briefly sharing my screen, and we'll be discussing on the important issues and the important points that as a school teacher you need to understand, because since you all are the educational leaders and you are doing extremely well in your institutions, in your schools, in your country, and you are contributing towards the society, and especially in this 21st century, when we know, when we understand, or when we have to understand that the role of the teacher has become that much, it has become larger, right? It was not that in the last decade, but in the present decade, in this 21st century, the role of the teacher as an administrator, as a principal, as a school teacher, you need to do certain things, and for that the various psychological points, the various psychological issues, they also help you out in understanding the psychology or the educational psychology, especially with reference to the children, as well as we can say the learners, as well as their parents also, the stakeholders also. In between, other participants have also shared which country they just belong to. So some of them are from Nigeria, again Ghana. One participant, Mr. Peter Okawaki, is from Uganda. Okay, I welcome. Welcome, Mr. Peter or Miss Peter. Then Muhammad Misa is from Nigeria. Okay, fine. So thanks for giving you my brief introduction. Okay, someone has written in the chat box that you are yet to receive the study material for the ECP, and that's not an issue, right? So that will be soon solved by uh, by IGNO, and you will be receiving the material for ECP. However, let me just start sharing the screen, and it will be better if in between you have some queries or some questions to ask me, then you can just ask. Otherwise, I will just discuss a few points, and then we will proceed ahead. Okay, so let me start sharing the screen, and in between you please just tell me that whether you are able to see the content that I have shared on the screen. Just write on the chat box or unmute. One of you may please unmute yourself, or just tell me that whether the screen is clearly visible to you, or I need to improve the screen size also. Is it okay? Is it okay? Is the screen visible to you? I have shared the study
Yes,
material. Okay, fine. The structure of
it's visible.
personality, the
Yes, sir.
transaction.
Yes,
Structure of
sir. But the audio is low, sir.
Voice is slow. Okay, fine. I hope that now it's clear, right? Voice will be clear in between. Okay, fine. So, dear learners, we will be talking about the structure of personality, the transactional analysis view. So, whenever we talk about the transactional analysis, we need to understand that what does analysis mean. So, basically, analysis is a word which refers to understanding the phenomena or understanding the process of a particular event. And when we go for the word analysis, generally, when we take an example of science or in mathematics, even in social sciences, in other subjects also, we need to do analysis. Analysis is important for a teacher, for a educational leader, because analysis helps you out in understanding that what may be the talkabouts of the process that we are involved in. Suppose we are talking about a teaching learning process, so the analysis, or a good analysis or a better analysis of a teaching learning process, it indicates that not only a teacher, but also the parents, the learners, the curriculum, everything is involved in that. But this we can say only on the basis of some analysis. But here we are talking about the transaction analysis. This transactional analysis is basically it has a deep rooted meaning. It is totally different from the analysis that we just do in our day to day life. Like I just said that, let me take an example of mathematics. So in mathematics, if I'm going to solve a mathematical problem, or in science, if I'm just going to discuss with you a certain phenomena or a certain event, then what I will do, I will analyze the process or the steps, that how this process or how this phenomena, how this will occur. But when we talk about the transaction analysis, basically it's called as the TA in short. It's a psychological tool. Why is a psychological tool? Because it is used by a psychologist. And when we say that the psychologists use this tool, the transaction analysis, then I mean to say that the teachers in the classroom and outside the classroom may also use this psychological tool, so that they may understand the structure or the elements that are a part of the personality. So, in brief, when I say that transactional analysis, so you need to understand that transactional analysis is a tool, it's a mechanism, or it's a process which help you out in understanding the personality of the learners. Especially, I'm talking about the learners. And who are the learners? The learners are your students only. And I need not to discuss it further that why is it required or why is it essential for you to analyze the personality or the various traits of the personality of your learners, because unless and until you are not familiar with the some of the strong points, some of the weaker points, some of the core areas in which your learners are better, or some of the areas where they as well as you need to do some hard work to improve them, right? We cannot say that we are moving the teaching learning process in a better manner. So this transaction analysis is basically a process which requires an attention on the part of the teacher so that he or she may understand the learners in a better way. So for personality, to understand the structure of the personality, transaction analysis is done, right? So if I ask you a question or if someone asks you a question that do you have some modern analysis way or a modern analysis method, or you have some procedure to understand the personality of your learners in a better manner, then now you can answer that yes, transaction analysis is one such tool, or it is one such process which can be used to analyze the personality of a teacher in a better way. Now again, my question is that why this analysis is to be done, because we can understand our learners in some of the ways when we are dealing with them for 2 3 or 5 years, like you are teaching in a class, as in the next year also the same learners are there, most of the learners they are there, and then you continue with them for a few years, maybe 3 4 5 or 6 years, and sometimes even 10 years, right? But what is the reason that you may rely more upon the transaction analysis? The reason is that because transactional analysis is one step ahead than the normal analysis, right? Because it tries to understand through the transaction analysis. You may understand the background of the personality as well as the psychology of the learner. So this is the reason that transaction analysis is considered as a better way to analyze the personality of a learner. So basically it's a tool, or you can say it's a mechanism, or you can say that it's a procedure, or you can also answer that transaction analysis is a technique. It's a modern technique. It's a technique which is more reliable, which is more valid to understand the personality of a learner in a better manner. So this is the introductory part of the transaction analysis. And now briefly, we will just try to understand and what are the various core components of this transaction analysis, or how it can be done, and what are the various things that are included in that, right? Okay, let me just ask my dear learners if you have some query, or you want me to explain the simple meaning of transaction analysis further. Any questions or any queries, right? I will just try to make this discussion two-way so that you may also get involved, and in between let me just try to answer your questions in your way, like you are teaching, you are a native of some country, that is Uganda, or you are living in Ghana, you are living in Nigeria or some other country, or it may be that you are living in Nigeria but now you are engaged in a teaching learning process in some other country, in some neighborhood country, or as a part of exchange program you have visited some other country also, maybe in the African region or maybe outside Africa, in some other countries also, or in some situation you may just like to you may just try to understand, or you may like to know about that how transaction analysis is done in the Indian classrooms by the teachers, right? So I may just answer, I would like to answer all these type of the questions so that you may get a broader view or a broader panorama of say the transaction analysis, right? Yeah, any query please. Let me also say in the chat box if you have some query. Any questions?
Sir, please, if you say that it's a tool, if you say that it's a tool, does it mean that it's like a steps that you have to follow to be able to identify your personality? Is that it?
Okay, I think that the question of Mr. Aidu is about that we are using it as a mechanism to understand personality. And what else you asked? May you please just write in the chat box, or you may just repeat the question that what was your query, Mr. Aidu, please. May you please repeat or just write in the chat box what was your
Okay,
query?
I'm writing in the chat box. I'm writing in the chat box.
Okay, fine. Right. So what I was able to hear from Mr. Aidu is that He was asking something related to the personality. So as soon as the question will appear in the chat box, I will just try to give the answer of this question in a more broader way, in a better perspective, by taking some examples from our country. Like, let me just take a general example from any classroom, right? Like a math teacher, you know that mathematics is considered as a very difficult subject, or mathematics is taken, or it is just understood that mathematics, it's a difficult subject, especially. Yeah, I have just received the question. When I say that TA is a tool, please refer to the question that Mr. Aitu has posted in the chat box. Does it mean there are steps in identifying our personality? Yeah, definitely. The answer is yes. Yeah, I have right in the chat box. Yes, there are. It means that there are steps in identifying the personality. And what are those steps? I will just write in. I will just write in the chat box. Right. The answer is yes. There are ways, or there are various steps in the understanding the personality. Why I have said that there are some steps in understanding the personality, because personality is not a single trait. Personality can be understood, or personality can be seen from a different perspective. Like personality, you all have understood, or you all have read that personality, sometimes it is said that it is based on some trait. Sometimes we say that personality is based on some theory of behaviorism. Sometimes we say that it's a part of the behavior. Sometimes we say that, okay, I will just write in the chat box again, right? Because personality is a personality is on certain theories based on certain theories. And what are those theories? It is based on behaviorism, then the psychoanalytic view, right? It is based on behaviorism. It is based on the psychoanalytic view, right? So there are certain things, there are certain aspects on which the personality is based. So we will just try to take all these one by one, right? Now, if I just come to the next point, you will find, see, the concept of the ego states. When I say that personality is something which is, when I say that personality is something which is, sorry, when I say that personality is something that is based on certain concepts, then you need to understand that according to the transaction analysis, the building blocks of our personality are the ego states. Now, what is this ego? You all have heard about the various theories which are based on the three concepts of personality, that is the id, ego, and the superego. Right? That is something that we need to discuss here to understand the transactional analysis of the personality. So that transactional analysis says that the building block of our personality are the ego state. Now, what are those ego states? So in our day-to-day life, we talk about the ego of some person, maybe some type of positive ego, sometimes of negative ego, or sometimes you say that the person is very egoistic, or sometimes you can say that the person is very self-centric, or he or she just takes care of himself or herself more than someone else. Or we can say in short that I is the central. See, for your convenience, for your to just make the things easier for you, I have highlighted the things in the file. So when we say that I is central, means I am the most important person, or I am the person who needs to be taken care of, then we are talking about the ego state of the personality. Now, a person is in a particular ego state at a particular moment, and at some other point of time, he or she may be in some other point. This we need to understand. Now, what does this refer to? When we are talking about the classroom situation, so what does it means that where to which things, to which concept the ego states they refer to, especially when we are talking about the ego states inside a classroom. So you see that inside a classroom there are a number of students. Suppose you are taking a class, or you are a science teacher, or you are an environmental science teacher, or you are a teacher of civics, or maybe history, or maybe mathematics, just any subject, right? And you are teaching them the subject for a long time, maybe for 1 year, for one session, for one semester, or something just like that. Now you just take a few months, or you just take a little time to understand your learners, but in between you just see that your learners, they are they are in the developing stage, and they are being developed by not only by your teaching learning process, but also by their own ego states. Then what is this ego state? It is a set of consistent and the coherent patterns of being, that what actually am I. And definitely the parents, the family members, the society, the neighborhood, the peer group, they all just they just play a very important role in deciding the personality of a learner or personality of a child. And this ego state, that's why I said that this is the holistic set, because the personality is a concept, or personality is an idea which is not based only on one aspect or only on one factor. That's the reason I said you that personality is basically a construct. Personality is constructed, personality is based on certain factors. And to decide the personality of a person, to modify or to develop the personality of a learner, we all play a very, very important role, especially the parents, because a lot of time is being spent by the learners at at their home. With the, even I will say that in the modern scenario or in the modern time, the social media, when we have YouTubes, when we have the other things to just watch upon, we have the OTTs, we have the films, we have some other things also, right? So this also plays a very important role in developing the personality of a learner. So this concept of ego state is really very important, because it is expressed by, first it is developed, and then it is expressed by the learners in his or her own manner. It is maybe internally, or it may be expressed externally also, right? So an ego state is basically something that we think, see what I have highlighted here, what we think and feel at a given point of a time, and is it reflected in how we relate to ourselves and to the other people. So, if you are a science teacher, or if you are dealing with some of the learners in the science classroom, maybe in the theoretical classes, or maybe in the in some practical inside the laboratory, then you might have seen some of the learners who are doing very well in science, and they might be reflecting themselves as something that they are doing extraordinarily in the subject. So how you can deal with those students, what you have to deal, what you need to understand, what you need to understand in terms of ego state or in terms of personality of those learners, that is a major point that you will try to understand, or that you will understand after going this theory of the transactional analysis, right? Because this ego state, it also uh, it is based on certain transitions from one stage to the another stage. These ego states are experiential in nature, they may be experienced, and they are the observable elements also. So that's the reason I just told you that ego states ego states are important, because these ego states, they can be identified by you, they can be observed by you, they can be observed by the other learners also in the classroom, right? So this ego state is the first component, or it is first thing that you need to understand the actual idea of transactional analysis. Now how will you correlate the ego states with the transactional analysis? You can say, or we can say, that the transaction analysis is a mechanism to identify or to trace out the ego state of a learner. The question is that why it is required to understand the ego state of a learner. This is essential to understand regarding a learner, because unless and until we come to know, until we know that what is the reaction, or how the learner is reacting in a particular classroom, inside as well as outside the classroom, then we need to understand that what actually they are willing to, how many ways they are just willing to express themselves, right? Suppose there is a learner who is not at all good in science, especially in the theoretical classrooms, right? Now he or she may be better in a science practical, doing some practical. Similarly, at a lower stage, suppose if you are a primary teacher, then you might be taking a subject of mathematics. Some of the learners, they may be good in counting, they may be good in calculation, but they may not be good in geometry, or they may not be good in the algebra. So how the ego states will be developed, and how that will develop the personality of the learner, is to be understood by you as a science and a mathematics teacher. This is very important, right? So is this example clear, or you just want me to explain it again, that how the ego state, or how the concept of the ego state is essential to understand by a science teacher or by a mathematics teacher or by a teacher of any subject. Is it clear to you? Or I will just try to give more examples. Is it clear?
It is clear, but you can give more examples.
Okay, fine. So I just gave you the examples of a math teacher or a science teacher. Let me just take a example of some sports teacher, right? Because sports is also a part of our curriculum. Now you might see, if you are taking a class of 10 students, or let just take a class of 10 students, an example of 10 students in a playground, and suppose you are a hockey player or a hockey teacher, or you are just a sports teacher who is teaching them, or who is taking a class, or who is just training them for the game football or for cricket, for any sports, right? Whatsoever you just want to. Now you will find that some of the players, they will be good, whereas some of the players will be of the average nature. Now, not only their performance, but also you need to understand that what is the teamwork, what is the level of teamwork in those players. Now how you will understand the that part of the personality, because teamwork is sometimes shown as well as sometimes it is not shown by the players, right? By cooperation, you can say that yes, they are helping out the other players by just contributing towards the betterment of the game. You can say that yes, they are contributing towards the betterment of the game by just scoring something, by just enjoying, by just celebrating with the other people, by the other with the other players. Then you can say that yes, they are good players, or they are participating, right? They are the players who are really involved in the welfare of the team. So these things, they help you out in understanding the ego states of the learner. And see where I am highlighting it, by understanding the concept of ego states in transaction analysis, you can come to know that why we behave differently at the different times. This is another important point of, this is another important uh, concept that we need to that we just get understand by the transaction analysis, that why the behavior, why our behavior is different at different point of time. That also we can understand by the uh, transaction analysis, because transaction analysis is a step by step analysis. It is a step by step analysis of the personality of the learners, as learners as well as the teachers also. Suppose you want to do a transaction analysis of your colleagues. Suppose there are 5 or 6 teachers in your school or in your institution, or maybe there are 20 or 25 teachers in your institution. You want to go to analyze that what will be the reaction of a particular teacher at a particular movement. Or sometimes you find that some of your colleague is always in a different mode, or always in a different zone, not very comfortable with others. So what may be the reason? There may be some situation in the family, there may be some situation in the neighborhood, there may be some situation in the day-to-day personal life. But what actually is that? So for that, you need to do a transactional analysis, so that you may understand that what actually is the ego state of that learner. So by this, by doing this transaction analysis, you may just understand the actual behavior of the learner, and further it may be also helpful in controlling the behavior of the learner, because by doing this you get a sense of freedom as well as responsibility at the same time. How this will happen, that you will be free as well as responsible at the same time, because once you are aware that what your learners are doing, what, in which direction their development, in which direction their growth, in which direction their learning is moving upon, right? Keeping a balance between the ego states of the personality, you may be helpful, more helpful for them, right? Because as a teacher, your role is not only to provide them the teaching learning material. Your methodology, it plays a very important role when you are teaching or just discussing with them something. But as a teacher, especially as a head teacher, right? As a head teacher, see, I'm highlighting it. As a head teacher, you will find that you can apply this very well in your own life situations also, because many times you find that your school administration gives you more responsibilities. Sometimes you are overburdened with the responsibilities. So at that point of time, you just find that it is very exhaustive. You just find that it is very difficult to handle the situation. So what you can do at that point of time, at that point of time, you may just go for a transactional analysis. And this transaction analysis, this ta through this ta, you will be in a position to understand that what right and what wrong is going on in your way, what right and what wrong is going in your life, especially in your professional life. Now, to understand it better, let me just explain. Let me just take this example or this picture, and this picture is very simple in nature. Basically, this is the TA model of the personality. This is the model of the personality which is based on the transactional analysis. Now, it takes the three things into consideration. It just talks about the three circles or the three things which are just placed on top of each other. The first is the parent ego state. You can see here, this is the parent ego state. Now, what is the parent ego state? I will just discuss it a little later. Then it is the adult ego state, right? You understand what is the adult ego state. And now this is the child ego state. So these three ego states are very important, right? Yeah. Any question? Let me just take a few minutes, or let me just take a few seconds to answer the queries of my dear learners if they have something. So by far we have discussed about two things. One is the what is transactional analysis, and second is what is the meaning of the ego state. And now we are trying to classify that ego state, and this is classified into three components, into three categories. One is the parent ego state, second is the adult, and third is the child ego state. We'll just try to discuss all these one by one, right? In between, any queries, any questions do you have? Anything that you just want me to ask, or is it okay from your side? Yeah, any one of you, please. Can we
It's okay
proceed
for
ahead?
my side.
Okay, it is okay from my do side. Anyone else? Can we proceed, or you just have some queries?
It's okay.
It's okay. Okay, fine. So I have received the response of two of the participants. Okay, then we can just move ahead. The first is the parent ego state. The second is the adult ego state. Now, what is the parent ego state? See, the parent ego state is again a construct of the personality. It's a part of the personality which we borrow from our parents, and none of you will disagree over this point that we do borrow something and a lot of things from our parents. Or sometimes, if parents are not there, suppose someone has lost the parents at a very young age, or uh, in the initial phase, in the initial days of the life, then someone would have definitely taken care of those of those learners, or of those people who do not have their parents, or for some reason the parents are not together, right? So those who took their place from parents, see what I have written, from parental and the authoritarian figures in our day to day life. So since the childhood, the one or the personality of the people who have influenced you, it just takes a very important position in our life, and this is the parent ego state, what you have borrowed from your learners. Suppose, let me just talk about a person X, or suppose, let me just talk about a kid, some child that is named as the X, right? Suppose the father of that child X is very authoritarian in nature, or is very good person, very humble person. So maybe that same may be reflected in the personality of that person. Why? Because the child or the kid has spent a lot of time with the same figure, especially in the initial years, right? So what we pick up from the others, generally we pick up the people's postures, the people's gestures, the habits, the ideas and expressions of the others. So this parent ego state, which in short is also known as the PES, parent ego state is the PES, then adult ego state is AES, and child ego state is the CES. So under the transactional analysis, we need to understand the parent ego state, and this parent ego state is very helpful in understanding the real influence, or the actual influence, or the extent of the influence that through which the learner has passed upon. Because if someone has spent a lot of time, or the initial years, the say the first 20 years or the 15 years with the parents, then all these things, they definitely play a very important role in deciding or in developing the ego state of the learner, right? Similarly, attitudes, the feelings. Now, some you might have seen that someone, they come from a religious background. Now, if someone is coming from a religious background, then there are more chances there is a quite good possibility that the learner or that particular kid, that particular child is belonging to a family, or the background of the child will also be religious in nature. Now, if someone is coming from a family who is doing business, or if someone is engaged in some other category of profession, right, you might see those ideas or those feelings or that behavior in that particular learner. If someone is coming from a background where it is all about the teachers, where the parents are the teachers, then you will find that that type of background will be, that type of ego state will be developed in that particular learner. Someone is coming from a family of musicians, someone is coming from a family of who have some criminal background, then such type of the things, they may appear in the personality of the learner, right? Now, how this can be identified, or how this can be traced out, this I have already told you. Because the parent ego state is expressed outwardly in two ways. The first is the critical or the nurturing behavior, and second is the attitude. So it is the behavior of the learner, it is the behavior of the learner who reflects, or by looking at whom, you will just get an idea that yes, this may be the possible background of the particular learner. Now, this is the type of the parents. The first is the critical parent, and second is the nurturing parent. So these are the two types of the parenthood: the critical parents and the nurturing parent. Now, as the name suggests, the critical parents, they are basically criticizing, or you can say that they are more critical in nature, where they blame the learners, and sometimes they are very unconstructive. They are far away from the constructive criticism, right? They just blame the learner, they just blame the things, and they try to be very judgmental in nature. They just write off you as a person, and they are least bothered about the actual behavior or the behavioral problems of the learner. So the critical parents, and in our society, we just find that many a times it is easier to go for upbringing of the learners, upbringing of the kids in a family, right? Physical upbringingness, but it is very difficult to go for a proper balanced upbringing of the learners in terms of behavior, in terms of their feelings, and in terms of understanding that what they actually want from the parents. So the critical parents, you can just find a lot of cases, a lot of incidents where you will find that the parents, they are very critical in nature nowadays, in this decade, especially in this decade, when there is a when the parents, they also have very less, you can say, patience. Even the society has less patience at this particular point of time. In this fast changing world, you will find that the case of critical parent is becoming increasing. It is increasing day by day, because the parents, they are working parents, and when they are working, then they have a lot of responsibilities, they have a lot of things to do, and they are not able to create a balance between their family and their profession. So that also plays a very important role, and that makes them more critical, and they are not able to take care of their kids. They're not able to take care of their own child in a better way. Whereas on the other hand, there are nurturing parent. Now, what is nurturing parent? Nurturing parent is absolutely totally different, or absolutely the opposite of the critical parent, because they look after the things, they take care of the learners, and they are interested in understanding the good things as well as the bad things, as well as the things but the learners, they just get fail. Now let me take an example that all the learners, all your students, they may not be good in all the subjects. Suppose a good learner is good in science and mathematics, but maybe poor in languages. So where on one side the critical parent will criticize the same learner for different reasons, that why you are not good in languages also, you are good in maths and science, but you are not good in languages, so you are not taking proper care. They might be criticizing the kid, but the learner, but the nurturing parents, they will just instill confidence in their kid. They will just go for some observation, they will just go for some positive behaviors, they will just check out that what is the performance of their kid, what is the performance of the learner, actual performance, and then they will just consult someone, or they will just try to find out the various aspects right, in terms of personality or in terms of performance of the learner. And then they will help out the learner in understanding that yes, if you are good in some particular subject, you may be good in some other subject also at some other point of time. So this is the most important aspect of personality, the ego states, where we have two types of parents: the critical parents and the nurturing parents. And this is a part of the parent ego state, which in short may be known as the PES. So, for your convenience, I have raised the presentation to the up direction, where we started from here, the parent ego state. Now it's time to understand adult ego state. But before that, if you have some queries, then you may please ask me, right? Otherwise, we will move ahead for the adult ego state. Let me again move the slide. The parent ego state, where we discussed about the critical parent, and then we discussed about the nurturing parent. Now, let me just talk about the adult ego state. Yeah, any query, please? Any query from any learner? Or should I discuss about the adult ego state? Yeah, please.
I think we can continue.
Yeah, yeah, Mr. Remindako. Yeah, please. Okay,
I think we can continue.
okay, I may continue. Okay, fine. Okay, in between, Kwaki Peter has also written that there is no query as such. Okay, fine. So you can also take a screenshot of the things that I am just sharing with you. Now, the second point is the adult ego state. Now, what is the adult ego state? Adult ego state is actually a behavior, a state of behavior. It is about the collection, about analysis, about evaluating information, and then making sense and balanced judgment about the things. This adult ego state, it deals with facts and not the feelings and the emotions. So this is the adult, this is something which we say that the adult ego, because it takes the learners as an you can say that the emotions of the natural child ego state, and the opinion, the belief of the parents, by thinking before speaking. It is about trying to understand that why it is we respond or behave in a particular way and make a conscious choice. So this basically the adult ego stage, the adult ego state, it is all about being calm, rational, analytical, unemotional. See, I have highlighted the points, and it is based on certain queries that why it has happened, when it has happened, where it happened, what was the reason that it happened, how it may happen, who was the one who was responsible for this, does it make any sense. So this adult ego state, it is basically about collection and analyzing. And you all know that for analysis we need to ask various questions, that why this has happened, why it is so. Now let me just take an example of the classroom. Suppose you are taking a class of mathematics, right? And in taking class of mathematics, you are just going to study or just trace out that what is the adult ego state, right? So this adult ego state, to understand this, you need to understand the two important things associated with it. One, it is the photographic adult, that is the PA, and second is the combining adult. Now these are again the part of the personality. These are again the part of the personality. The photographic adult, the PA, it is that part of the personality which perceives what is happening in the here and now, records it in the brain, remembers it, and reports on it. So when you tell your learners that he or she has scored the highest in mathematics last year, so that is the photographic adult. So that's the reason I told you that photographic adult has nothing to do with the emotions. It basically talks about the records of the people. So suppose if you want to discuss with some learner, suppose you are a physical science teacher or a physical sports teacher. So in that case, what you may discuss with your learners, you may just tell them that last year in the last event, you just performed in that manner. So by doing that, what you will do? By doing that, you may just promote the learners by motivating them. So this is the photographic adult. Whereas what is the combining adult? The combining adult is something when you just discuss the learners that it's a manifestation of the combining adult. When one of your teachers tells you that in the forthcoming examination, the school is likely to get, see, what is the example that you've taken here? Right? It is based on the prediction. Suppose you are an English teacher, or you are taking some languages, some local languages, or the language which is the most talked about in your country. So you can just tell the learners that yes, this will be the performance of you all. This combining adult, it is used as a mechanism when especially the learners, they are going to perform somewhere, because that will be based on certain prediction that this will be the performance of the learner. So we have two types of adult ego state. One is the photographic adult, and the second one is the combining adult. Now, this photographic adult is based on the photographic memory of the learners also. This I have already discussed with you. Now, you can see here the combining adult. See, read this paragraph. The combining adult is that part of the personality which makes calculations using data that come from the photographic adult and what is stored in one's memory. So that's why it is said that the memory the memories of the learners, they must be good, because if the memories are not good, good means they should be okay, okay types. The memory should be okay, they should be the fine. It should not be that all the memories, they are quite poor, or all the things that they have in their memory, they are not very good, they have bad experiences, because that may affect the photographic adult as well as the combining adult memory of the learners. Now the third one is the child ego state. So we have discussed about two. The first one was the parent ego state. The second one was the adult ego state. Now the third one is the child ego state, which is known as the C. Now what is the child ego state? As it is clear from the name, the child ego state is the repository of the feelings and the emotions. Because child is considered as the one who has lot of emotions only. They have only feelings only. They are not involved in any type of analysis, right? So what they feel, what they see, what they come in to what they come into association with, one who gives them the love, all these things are recorded in the mind of the learners. You know that the memory of the child is not too long, and the things, they are just in their mind for us for a small duration only. So it is essential for us as well as for the parents to give them certain good memories, so that they may realize at later point of time that yes, this may be a part of their development. So this child ego state is basically a repository of the feelings and the emotions, right? It is also the recording of internal events or the responses. Now if you might have seen, you might have taught the learners at a very young age, or at the before going to school, right, when they are in the preparatory stage of going to the school, right? So you just find that the child ego state is the source of the emotional responses also. That is all about emotional, right? So there are many things that happen us today as adults which recreate the situation of the childhood. See, this paragraph is really very important. I'm just trying to analyze the facts that are presented before you in this study material. There are a lot of things that can happen to you today as adults which recreate the situation of the childhood. Means a lot of things you can see around where you will just realize that yes, in my childhood I have done this thing. For example, in the summers, right? You just want to go for some swimming classes, or you may just want to go to some river or to some lake or pond nearby and just go and take a bath or just go for a swim there. Now, it might be that in your childhood there might be a good or there might be a bad memory associated with that. So that will be a part of your personality, your persona throughout the life. That yes, this was those are the summers, those that was the season of winters, that was the season of something like that, spring or something like that, and this happened to me in this event. Suppose, let me take another example. Whenever you try to go for some bicycle ride, the first bicycle ride, or the experience of learning how to bicycle, similarly, how to drive a two wheeler, how to drive a four wheeler. So, those are the things that you can imagine again at this point of time, even when you are in the adult stage. So, this concept of ego state, this child ego state, is very, very important, because this is mostly based on the feelings of the learners. So that's why I told you that child ego state is a repository of the feelings and the emotions, where they have the emotions only, right? And this child ego state, it takes place, or this development of this, it takes in four manners. The first is the natural child, the second is the compliant child, third is the rebellious child, and fourth is the little professor, right? So these are the 4 points which are very, very important. Now, what is the natural child? Natural child is the one which reflect a person needs. The behaviors of the natural child, it includes the reflections of a person, what they need, what they want in the most honest manner, in a non-manipulative manner, because you know that the child is basically, the behavior of a child is basically uh, very soft and very that it's a kind type of nature. They express themselves spontaneously without caring that what the others will say. That is to say that the behavior of the child is very natural. It is full of love, it is full of fun, it is fulfilled with joy only. It does not care that what the others will say. So this feeling of natural child is very, very important, and that plays a very important role in our later life also. You might have seen people who just still remain child, or their behavior is as pure as it was in the earlier days. So what is the reason for that? The reason for that is the natural childship, because the natural child, it requires free and just want to do whatever he or she just wants, right? Then the adopted child, that is the AC. Second case is the adopted child. What is the adopted child? It is that part of the child that exhibits a modification in the natural natural child's inclination. So after the natural child, the second is the adopted child, where you see just a modification, some adaptations. What type of adaptations? There may be some experiences, some demands from the authoritative figures, such type of things they may just occur. Now, these adaptations may occur in two ways: the submissive or the compliant child, and then the rebellious child. Now, it is very easy to understand that what is the meaning of submissive or compliant child, and second is the rebellious child, right? So when we talk about the compliant child or the rebellious child, we need to understand that why, or basic what is the basic thing which we need to understand for a natural child as well as for a adopted child. So this all we are trying to discuss under the category of the child ego state. See, what is the topic we are discussing here? This is the child ego state. This is the child ego stage. And what is the child ego state? This is the state of the ego of a child. And we know that the child ego state is really the source of our emotional responses, that how we will respond to some emotional situation or to some other situation. So under this child ego state, we have discussed about two things. First is the natural child, and second is the adoptive child. Now under this we have the compliant child. So, and then the last one is the rebellious child. So this compliant child state, you do what the other people want to do regardless of how you feel about it. So this is the case of the compliant child state. One behave in the way you believe other people expect or want to behave, rather than in the way that matches with how you feel, as you would in the natural child, right? Even if common sense tells you not to comply with the request, you still do the same thing. So this is the situation of a compliant child. So I hope that you are now able to understand the meaning of the natural child, then adopted child, then the compliant child, and the last one is the rebellious child. Now, what is the rebellious child? The rebellious child is that part of a person. It is not about the actual child, it is about the personality of a learner. So it resides inside the you. Here I'm not talking about some specific examples of the learners in the classroom. Here I'm talking about the specific types of the personalities, or the specific type of the constructs of the personality that actually reside you. So each one of us, you also have, I also have, so each one of us has such type of child in our personality, and it starts developing from the very initial days of our childhood. Now suppose if I just want to ask you that whether you, what do you feel, that either you are a compliant child or you are a natural child, what type of personality is yours, what type of ego state, what type of child ego state is in you, what constitutes you, what do you think that you have in your personality? So you need to think upon these characteristics and then decide that yes, I am a compliant child of person, I am an adoptive child of the person, I'm a rebellious child of the person. Now, who is the rebellious child of person? You might have seen people around you who are quite rebellious in nature, who do not want to listen to the others, and they want to do what they feel is the right? Right. So let us take an example. Suppose you give 3 substitution periods to one of your teachers on the same day. Now see this example. This I have highlighted. Please go through this example, and then I will just take a few things from your side. 3 substitution periods on the same day. She comes and tells you that she will not go for any of them. This will be a rebellious child behavior. Why? What do you think? Yeah, please. Yeah, any idea? So you might have seen that if you might have seen that some type of teacher, such type of instances. Either some of you might be a principal, some of you might be an authority in your school, and you might have come across such type of teachers who are quite rebellious in nature, or they might not understand, or they might not go with your orders. So in that case, many a times you find that these are the people who are not willing or who are unwilling to follow your orders. But as a part of the personality expert, as a part of the being a psychological expert, you need to understand that this rebellious child is still, it plays an important role in the personality of those teachers. Now, another important category is the little professor. What is the little professor? This is the thinking part of the child ego state. Now, this name is very charming, or it is very attractive. The little professor is the thinking part of the child ego state. It also comes under the child ego state. It is creative, it has initiative, and is manipulative, right? And it just talk about to put the things in the right place, to reach a desired goal, and take initiatives to know what to do in a given situation. Consider the following example. A mother scolds her son. He goes and hugs her with a charming smile. The mother forgets her anger, right? And this, the unpleasant situation has been changed to the pleasant one. So this is the type of the uh, you might have seen across this one, that if you are as a teacher, some task has been given to you, and you, as per your analysis, you just find that I'm not the best person who can go for this particular part. So what you will do, you will just go and talk to your superior that this thing can be better done by some other teacher, and you are willing to take some other responsibility. So in that case, this little professorship, or this little professor, this type of attitude, which is the thinking part of the child ego state, it will definitely work, and that will bring you out from that art situation, as well as that will bring you in a good situation. So that is why it is said that the this state, this child ego state of little professor, it is more workable than the others one. So what we have discussed by far, this little professor. Then before that we discussed about the rebellious child. Then we discussed about the compliant child. Then we, before that we discussed about the adopted child. So these are the and before that we discussed about the natural child. So this is nothing but simply the child ego state, which is developed into 4 important parts, right? 4 important parts. See, I have highlighted it for your comfort: the natural child, the compliant child, the rebellious child, and the little professor. So this all is basically a category, or you can say that these are the 4 important parts of the child ego state, right? Yeah, let me just stop here again for a few minutes, and just take the queries of my dear learners if you have, because we have discussed a lot of things here. We discussed about the child ego state. Then before that we discussed about the adult ego state, and before that we discussed about the, what we discussed in the first way, we just discussed about the child ego state. The third one, second one was the adult ego state, and the first one was the parent ego state, that is the P. So this was the diagram that we discussed here by far. So this is the most important. This is the PAC model. This is the transactional model of the personality. This is the PAC model. Yeah, any query please, and then we will just move ahead. Any queries by far? So how many of you have understood that what we were discussing actually? Have you understood the meaning of the transaction analysis? Or have you understood that we are talking about the various aspects of personality? Yeah, any one of you? Someone is trying to answer.
Yes, sir. I understand. We have some comments. We have placed some comments in the chat box. Let me read mine. I said something that sometimes we can act submissive. We can act as a submissive child. Sometimes we can also become a rebellious child, depending on situations. Then Fijaz also added that yes, depending on situation, our personality usually changes sometimes.
Okay, so Mr. Aidu has also written here in the chat box that sometimes we act as a submissive child, sometimes we become a rebellious child, depending on the situation. Yeah, that is absolutely right. So my concern was also to make you understand that all these type of the personality, because in the beginning I told you that personality is not a single aspect. Personality is not based only on one construct. Rather, personality is a mix-up of the certain construct. Means if I want to define that personality, let me just write in the chat box. Personality personality is a sum total of many constructs. See what I have written here. Personality is a sum total of many constructs. So this is an important definition. Personality is a sum total of many constructs, and all these ego states, the parent ego state, the adult ego state, then the child ego state, and in all those ego states there are certain categories of the subdivisional categories were there. Like in the adult ego state there were few categories. In the parent ego state there was some type of the parents who are caring. Some there are some type of at many a point of time there are parents who are not very caring. They are in spite of that they just label the child that my child is not good or they are not obeying. So such type of the things, they are inside us. So this transactional analysis helps us in understanding our personality, that what am I actually. It will help me. So suppose if I am interested in doing my own transactional analysis, if I want to analyze myself in a transactional manner, so what will that to bring out, what result I will get from there? I will just briefly present myself as a person that these are the traits which are inside me, and those traits, it is not necessary that those traits will be always permanent, because personality, another feature of personality is personality varies depending upon different situations. Personality varies depending upon various situations. So the personality is a variable. Personality is a variable. Personality, what is personality? Personality is a variable. So our personality, it also changes. So what we were in the childhood, it is not necessary that I am the same at the adult state. What I am at the adult state, it is not necessary that at the later point of time I will be the same person. Okay, so it was indeed a good comment, and it was a good understanding or good analysis by Mr. James Idu. Now, Mr. Austin Quadu has written, depending on the situation, our personality uses changes sometimes. Yeah, definitely. I, as well as the other participants, will also agree with this fact that depending on the situation, our personality usually changes sometimes, and sometimes the frequency is much more. We just change frequently also at many points of time, because as in a manner, in a manner what we want to project us, so what we want to show us, what we are actually, and what we want to present before the others, that is also an important question. So Mr. or Miss Austin Quadu has also written has a statement based on some analysis. Then you have again written that makes us be aware of our personality. Yeah, you can say that it talks about letting us know, or it just indicates that we also need to understand that what our personality is, because unless and until we know that what we are, we cannot be a good parent, we cannot be a good teacher, we cannot be a good stakeholder, or we cannot be a good part or a better part of the society. So that is the reason we need to understand. So for your convenience, let me just take you back to the topic what we discussed here today, and then I will just go for a few more things. I just started with the meaning of the transactional analysis. I just told you that this is transactional. What actually is a transaction? You just go to a bank to deposit your money, right? And then you just go for some debit, you just go for some credit. So that is the transaction. So what is the transaction? Transaction is always in a two-way procedure. You give something, you take something, you give something, you take something. So this is the transaction. So here when we say that the transaction analysis, it means that you have to analyze the personality based on certain transactions. What are those transactions? Those transactions are actually nothing but simply a part of your behavior. So what you want to reflect, what you want to show yourself as up, and what is your reality. So this difference between your reality and what you project may be defined as the transaction of the personality. So we started with here the structure of the personality, the transactional viewpoint. This is the transaction. Then we discussed about the ego states, the various types of the ego state, and these ego states, they are the building blocks of our personality. They actually help us out in understanding that what we are, because if we are not familiar with our ego, or what am I, because the biggest question is, the foremost question is, the most important question is that what actually am I. So you need to understand that what you are. If you are able to understand that what you are in terms of your behavior, in terms of your thinking, in terms of your personality, in terms of your understanding, in terms of your becoming a teacher, in terms of individual experiences, in terms of your contribution to the society, right? So in all terms you need to understand that where do you stand. So basically this ego state is a mirror viewpoint of your personality. It's a mirror which shows that what you are actually, and it also helps you out in understanding that through this personality, through these traits of the personality, then we discuss about the ego state, adult ego state, the child ego state. So this PSC model, this PSC model, this PSC model of transactional analysis, this personality model of PSC is based on the transactional analysis. So the parent ego state, what you are you a reflection, or are the things, the habits that you have developed, is it a part of your the personality of your parents, what you have obtained from them, what you have inherited from them? That is why in personality the nature and the nurture also plays a very important role. So that's a different debate too. So I discussed with you the critical parent and the nurturing parent. I told you that the critical parents, they are always criticizing, or they are just always you can say demanding in nature. Demanding in nature means they always direct, they always distract the learners. They always just want something extra, something more from the learners. They want the learners to be like that, to be like them. Whereas the nurturing parents, they understand that the real nature, or the real meaning of the parenthood is all about helping the learners, helping their kids in understanding the world where they live upon. So this parenthood is also very very important. It rather it also helps you out in becoming a good parent in your at your home, and in your family also. This parent ego state is very important. Now the adult ego state, this adult ego state, I discussed with you that this is the photographic adult and the combining adult. What is this photographic adult? This is actually a memory that, let me take an example, that what was your performance in mathematics when you was a school going learner. Hmm? This photographic adult is what was your performance in mathematics. So suppose you are a mathematics teacher, or you are a language teacher, but you was good in mathematics. So this image will always be in your mind, this photographic image will always be in your mind, that yes, you was quite good in that particular subject, though you have changed your stream and has become a teacher of some other subject. Similarly the combining adults, just combining or collecting the memories in a different manner, that is the combining adult. Then we discussed about then we discussed about the combining adult, and then lastly the child ego state, which I told you that this ego state is a repository of the feelings, the emotions. Why this is important? Because the child ego state actually reflects the development of the learners in the later adulthood state also. And this consists of the four important points: the natural child, the compliant child, the rebellious child, and the little professor. So, the natural child, I have already told you, this is very simple to understand. Uh, the natural performance of the learners, the natural love, the natural feeling, the natural energy, that the learners, that the child do they have. So some people are, like we say, that the artist, they fall in this category of natural child. Why is it so? Because they just always want to be shift from one type of personality to the another one. Then the adopted child. Then the third one was the compliant child, and the fourth one was the rebellious child. So I have just tried to give you some examples also. And the last one was the little professor. So what is the little professor? Who just want to come out of the odd situation by doing something that really pays off at that particular situation. Means to convert a poor situation or a bad situation into his or her own favor may come into this category, what is we call as the little professor. Now here it's a small activity for you also, though there will be one more activity that I will be giving you later on. So what is the activity given here? This is only for your understanding. Reflect on your transactions at social and professional level, because you all are the teachers. So please reflect at your transactions. Identify the ego states from which you and your other person operate at different time. Means what you reflect in front of others, in front of you own, does it give you an insight into your behavior and the other person's behavior? This is an important assignment. You all need to understand it and just discuss with it with your authorities and discuss it with among yourself. You may just do it individually also, right? This is the activity which has been mentioned here in this text. One activity is more that I will give you in the chat, that will write in the chat box, and that you will just submit as your assignment also in the mail ID that will be provided to you by the Regional Center Dehradun, that is by the Indira Gandhi National Open University. But this one is only for your reflection. You have to reflect on your transactions, and believe me, when you are reflecting on your own transactions at any level, either at social level, at individual level, or at the professional level, you need to be quite honest. You need to be honest, because unless and until you are presenting yourself, you are transacting with yourself in an honest way, you will not be able to share that what in which ego state you actually fall. So while doing this activity, you need to take care of this one. Now we will come to the next and the last portion of this session, where we need to understand the ego state functions. What are the ego state functions? So by far we have discussed the three ego states. One was the parent, the second one was the adult ego state, and the last one was the child ego state. Now here we will talk about the ego state functions. What are these ego state functions? And these ego state functions, they will help you in understanding the actual meaning of the transactional analysis, right? So after going this, I will just give you an assignment, and then you can just take your own time to solve that queries, to solve that question. I will just take a few questions from your side also. The ego state functions, we have three ego states. By far, you know that you have three ego states. One was the parent, another one was the adult, third is the child ego state. And we know that the parent ego state help you to be a good parents and to organize their own lives according to, I think that the mic of some participant is on. Please mute yourself so that, yeah, okay. Now it's okay. Please mute yourself so that Mr. James, yeah, please mute yourself. Okay, fine, thank you. So here we need to understand that the parent ego state, how it will help you out. So this parent ego state help you to be good parents, to organize your own life according to a scale of values and the judgments. You can yourself be good parents. You can show some support, you can show some love, some directions to your own children as well as to the other children. Now this parenting ego state provides nurture, safeguards and regulations for ourselves and others. So what are the functions of these ego state? Basically these are the points that I have already discussed with you, and further I'm just going for one quick revision. So this parent ego state helps you out in becoming a good parents. You just get an idea that how you yourself can be a good parent, as well as at the same time you can be a guardian, you can be a guide, you can be a counselor, right? You can be a counselor, you can be a good resource for your own learners in the classroom as well as outside the classroom, right? Then the adult ego function, it What does it do? The adult ego person, it helps in updating the parent as well as the child. So this adult ego state also helps you out in improving your own performance when you are acting as a parent, as well as in front of your child also, because it is based on analysis. It examines the data, what it suggests, and what is applicable in nowadays. Because what is applicable in this year of 2023 cannot be applicable after 2 years, that is in the year 2025. So you need to understand that what was applicable to you as an adult, as a parent, way back 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, or 5 years ago. Even I will say that 2 years ago cannot be applicable to your own kids or to the learners in your classroom. So you need to update yourself, right? And the third one is the child ego state. So this child ego state uh, stands to get one's needs met. Everyone wants satisfaction. What type of satisfaction? Satisfaction of the hunger, the gratification of the needs, all types of the requirements. You need joy, you need some safety, you need some creativity, you need some fun. So all these things, they can be only done when you are in a position to understand the PAC model, that is the perfect parents, adult, and the child ego state. Now the last one is the affective ego state, and after that, we will go for the ineffective ego state. What is the affective ego state? We have studied about 7 different ego state dimensions in the foregoing section. So we just discussed about the various ego state. A person functioning more in the nurturing parent ego state, or adult, or this one, right, will be definitely more healthy and effective in comparison to the others one. Whereas the ineffective ego state is the one who is not in a position to create a balance between them. So this is very simple to understand, that how we can go for the effective and ineffective ego state. The 4 other ego states, the critical parent, where I told you that the critical parent is the one who always is very demanding, who is always putting a label on the child that yes, you are not that good as the child or the kid of the some other person. Then the rebellious child, then the compliant child, and the little professor, they are not so healthy aspects of the personality, especially if one frequently operates from them. They usually lead one to behave ineffectively and become a loser. So this critical parent, the rebellious child, the compliant child, the little professor, these 4 parts of the personality, they need to be checked upon, and they need to be taken care of. Because if you are rebellious all the time, or you are not going to follow the things or the instructions in a particular manner, then you may be a loser, or one may be a loser at some point of the time. It may be more ineffective. Now this is the PA contamination. This is the contamination, or this is the mix up. You can say this is the mixture of the ego state. Contamination means mixture of the ego state. Now before going for any theoretical explanation, let me present before you this picture. So this picture clearly reflects you this PA. This is the contamination. See, look at this point. This is the contamination where P and A, they are intersected with each other. So the parent ego state and the adult ego state, they are contaminated here. Yes. Whereas here, no such contamination is seen. So this is the PAC model. Now, what does this mean? What does this PA contamination mean? It means that the P and A, that is the parent and ego, adult and the adult ego state, will be contaminated. Whereas in the second one, you will see here there is no contamination between the parent and the adult, whereas there is a contamination between the adult and the child ego state. So this contamination also indicates from the child point of view, that what will be the feature or what will be the part of that personality, right? So these ego states, this contamination, let me just show you the figure once again. This is the contamination of the adult. This is the second figure. See what has been highlighted here: contamination of adult by the child ego state. So when the adult ego state is contaminated or being affected by the child ego state, then such type of the figure may be obtained. Whereas if we go for the first figure, this is the contamination of the adult by the parent ego state. So here this type of the figure will be just obtained. This is the parent ego, parent, adult, parent, ego state, right? So this contamination is actually a mix-up of the two ego states that we have discussed already. Now, to developing the human resources, we need to decontaminate the ego state. See here what has been written here, developing human resources. So for developing the human resources, we need to decontaminate the ego state. Now, how these can be decontaminated? You need to be driven by the parents' prejudices and the rigidities, by the child fear and the compulsions. So if you want to lessen the role of the parents, then you need to you may decontaminate the ego state. So the positive side of the parents, it need to be kept in mind. The positive side of the parents, that will decontaminate the parent ego state. Similarly, to make the learners, to make the kids more responsible, that will just decontaminate the child ego state. Okay, so in this manner you can just go for the contamination as well as the decontamination of the ego states of the parents. So this was a brief presentation, or you can say it was a enlarged presentation of on the transaction analysis from my side. I know that you are sitting here in this session for last almost 3 hours, so might be a little tired also, right? But you have shown your enthusiasm through your questions, and especially the chattings that you have done in the chat box. Some of you have written the statements in the chat box. I can see that what is the meaning of the transaction analysis, or what is this technique all about, right? So this gives me an idea that you was able to understand that what actually transaction analysis mean. One last thing that I would like to discuss here is that we were talking about personality. So in this session, we were talking about the personality, and basically we were talking about the analysis of the personality, that how personality can be analyzed through some modern technique. So transaction analysis is that way of analysis of the personality, and that talks about basically the three aspects: the parent and the adult and the child ego states. Because why ego states only, not id and superego? We didn't discuss about id and superego because that requires more time, number one. And second important point is that id and superego is a different story, but the ego is all about what actually I am. So if you need to understand yourself, that what am I, if you need to answer this question, that what am I, then you need to understand the three ego states: the parent, the adult, and the child ego state. Okay, so this is all from my side, though we can just extend the conversation, but since I have covered all the points, and just looking into that, you have already spent a lot of time in today's session and in the forthcoming sessions also. The experts will talk to you. Let me just take next 5 minutes or 10 minutes for your questions if you have. Otherwise, I will just give you some assignment that you need to complete and just write uh, in some paragraph way, in 1 or 2 pages, maybe in some words, right? And just submit it to the Indira Gandhi National Open University. Okay, let me take some question. Yeah, please, any one of you, please. You may write in the chat box as well as you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank
Yeah,
you very much, sir.
yeah, welcome.
The notes, can we get the notes?
Yeah,
The one
sure.
you displayed, the PDF.
Okay, okay. You just want this file, what I have discussed with you, the written material, right?
Yes.
So I will
Yes.
request the authorities from the Indira Gandhi National Open University, the RC
Okay.
panel. Yeah, so they will just share it with you,
Okay.
and you will be more comfortable with that because this is more technical in nature.
Yes.
Transaction analysis is a
Okay.
technical viewpoint of analyzing the personality. So definitely you will get that assessment from Indira Gandhi National Open University, right? Okay.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay, welcome. Yeah, any other question or any other queries? In between, just writing in the chat box what is, I'm just writing the assignment, what you have to prepare. What is transactional analysis? Critically comment on the importance of TA from the viewpoint of what is transactional analysis. critically comment on the importance of transaction analysis from the viewpoint of teacher, considering yourself as one. Right. See, this is the assignment that I have posted here. This is very simple, but it will require analysis from your side. Means it requires some hard work from your side. That what is transactional analysis? What actually is it? So, will you all be able to write that what is transaction analysis? Any questions or any confusions regarding this? Now you understand what is transaction analysis, and then you need to critically comment on the importance of TA. So you need to comment on the importance of TA, that what is transaction analysis and why is it important. But you need not to comment as such only. You need to comment based on some critics, based on some critical analysis, right? From the viewpoint of a teacher. So considering yourself as one. Now you all are the teachers. You all are the involved in some teaching learning process, right? In your institution. So you need to go for some analysis and just write down in one page or in 2 pages, right, of your register that what is your opinion regarding the same. So I just want to know from my dear learners that is the question or is the assignment clear to all of you, or you need some explanation from my side? Is it clear to you?
For me, it is
It is
clear.
clear to me.
Any problem or any assistance that you need from my side in doing this assignment? You just need to write down say 500 words or something like that, right? You just write on 1 or 2 sides of a page and then submit it as an
Okay.
assignment to the university as an assignment for evaluation, right? So is the question clear? Let me ask Mr. Rimindako, Mr. Abdul, Muniba Sufyan.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
it is clear. Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, what about Anas and Aidu? What about Mr.
Okay,
Anas and Mr. Aidu? Is the
The
question clear?
question is clear. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, okay, fine. So let me just say thanks to the my international participants from all the countries. It was a good experience from my side, and especially to talk with you, talk to the people, the learners from Uganda, from Ghana, from Nigeria, and a special thanks to the esteemed University of India, one of the topmost university, that is Indira Gandhi National Open University, for giving assistance to the learners from across the world, especially the African region, and also to give me an opportunity to talk with the learners to understand that what new actually is going on in the world all around. So a big thanks to the university as well as to my dear learners. I hope to see you again in some sessions, especially when we will be talking about some important and the new issues, some difficult issues, right? For the rest of the time, just take care from my side, and let me say thanks to all of you and say goodbye, right? Anything else you want to say or add?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Please submit the assignment. Don't forget to submit the assignment. Yeah, over to RC Dehradun. Madam, sir, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, welcome. So, dear participants, you may just leave the meeting and please submit your assignment at the right time, right? Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
thank you. Please, the regional center. We are hoping to get the study materials. Thank you very much.